guys, I'm Sal Spada, and I know you all like to hang out with your friends and have a good time outside. Well, backpacking is a really good way to do that, because you're outside for a couple of days, maybe even up to 10 or 20 days, depending on what you like to do. And a key part of backpacking is eating. And because you have to eat on backpacking and you can't carry around your entire kitchen, you have to use a backpacking stove. Now, a backpacking stove, it's not an everyday thing. It takes some skill to learn how to use. See, it's only one burner, and it involves gasoline instead of, say, maybe propane or electric heat that you usually use at home. Now, using one of these involves a few steps in the process to do. Identify that you have all the proper parts needed to set up your backpacking stove. And what you need is your 32-ounce fuel container. You can get it at any backpacking store, any outdoor store like EMS, REI, places like that. Also, you'll need your fuel pump. This will attach to your fuel can and allow you to attach the burner to the gasoline. Next, you'll need the burner. So, you want to make sure that you have the right burner for the pump that you're using. And to do that is that you can find the brand of stove that you have and find a pump that is by the same brand. Next, what you're going to need is this aluminum wind guard. Next step is lighting the stove. To do this, you start with the fuel can. You're going to take the top off of the fuel can. A little gasoline might spill out, but that's okay. Now you're going to take your fuel pump and insert it directly into the top here. Screw it on just until it's tight. You want to tighten it pretty tight so no gasoline can leak out. Now, after you've attached your fuel pump, you're going to need to take your fuel canister and your burner and attach them. To do this, jutting out of the burner is the fuel line. You're going to want to attach the pump and the canister directly onto there until you hear a little pop or something. Take the aluminum wind guard and put it around your stove just like this. You usually want to leave an opening like this until you're ready for light, just so you can have a way for your matches to come in. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pump your fuel canister just enough until it's hard. So this could be anywhere from, say, 20 to 50 times. That's pumped enough. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to let a little bit of fuel out of your fuel bottle into the stove. Just enough until you see the fuel starts coming out of the bottle. Now that you've put a little bit of fuel into the stove, you're about ready to light. And to light it, you're going to take one match, strike it, and there's going to be a little flame up there. Sometimes, depending on how clean your burner is, you might see a lighter flame or a darker flame. Right now we have a very small flame. Now we have the kind of flame that you're looking for. The flame should be about, when it starts to turn blue, that means you're ready to turn the fuel back on. As you start to turn the fuel on, you'll start to hear a very roaring noise. And that's what you're going to want to hear. After you've shut off the fuel pump, after you're done using the stove, you're going to want to wait until it cools down before you take off the fuel canister, because if anything leaks out of the fuel canister, the flames will shoot back up the fuel line and light your bottle on. Now that we've finished lighting the stove and you know how to use the stove, this is an example of what can happen if you don't use the stove properly. Someone who was using this fuel bottle let the fuel leak out of here, probably because the stove was too hot, and then the flame shot up the fuel line and lit this on fire, and they didn't know what to do, so they let it explode. This is something that you want to avoid, so you always want to use safety and caution when using these backups. Things like this can help you have a great time while camping, and they can also help you prevent things like this from